but not nearly as fascinating as the man himself, Bibi Netanyahu, because like I said, what I'm about to show you is crazy. This is nuts. So this article was published in October of 1996. It's amazing that to find any of this information, we basically have to go back to the 90s because now the press is so controlled in America. It's ironic and hilarious that we think that we have a free press in America when we have gotten infinitely less free to talk about subjects without the entire media colluding to come down on you. So this was published, by the way, in the Washington Report on Middle Eastern Affairs, and it was a special report entitled Spook, Terrorist, or Criminal: America's Mysterious Files on Netanyahu. I said, okay, let me read this. This is weird. So I'm going to read you the relevant portion that blew my mind here. It says Netanyahu has lived both in Israel and the United States. First grade in Israel, second and third grade in the United States, fourth through eighth in Jerusalem, high school in suburban Philadelphia, military service in Israel, a BA and an MA at MIT. He held dual citizenship, which enabled him to travel freely between both countries, study in the U.S., receive federal loans to cover his education costs at MIT, and work legally. Like every U.S. citizen, Netanyahu has a social security number, a credit account, and numerous other files in a variety of government offices. Okay? Nevertheless, Netanyahu's files differ from those of most U.S. citizens. The Israeli weekly publication entitled Hayir, that is a publication that is weekly out of Tel Aviv, that reports that 4 requests for credit approval appear in the U.S. Social Security file number, and they gave the number of his Social Security. Under each request, one finds a different name: Benjamin Netanyahu, Benjamin Vitai, John J. Sullivan, and John J. Sullivan Jr. One man, 4 names. Benjamin Netanyahu is the name Israel's current prime minister was given at birth and which he now uses. In June of 1973, during his studies at MIT, Netanyahu submitted a petition to the Boston court asking to change his name from Netanyahu to Nitai, N-I-T-A-I. Quote, "I prefer a shorter name," he wrote on the request form. The petition was approved, thus the second name has an explanation. The last 2 names, however, remain a mystery. Furthermore, the address attached to these names, somewhere in Malibu, California, does not exist. Who then is John J. Sullivan? Israelis Biranit Boren and Einat Berkovich from Hayir tried to find out. They looked into Netanyahu's credit account. The file is supposed to hold information regarding bank accounts, loans, credit cards, and so forth. Yet surprisingly, the file was empty. It is as if Netanyahu never had a debt, had never taken out a loan, and always paid his bills up front and in cash. Boren and Berkovich then attempted to examine Netanyahu's Social Security file, but they were denied access. They did, however, find out that Netanyahu's file has a different classification than most. They were denied access not merely due to the 1974 Privacy Act, but because the file had a quote-unquote confidential classification. Boren and Berkovich have explained that such a classification only applies to 5 categories of people: those who work for one of 3 federal agencies, the FBI, the CIA, the IRS, or those who are considered to be terrorists or criminals. Since it's unlikely that Netanyahu fits the latter 2 categories, or that he worked for the IRS, it appears that he was on the payroll of a secret agency, the CIA, or the FBI. Oh, amazing. Okay, cool. Yeah, I didn't know any of that. I'm checking the chat here to see if you guys knew that, were aware. Anybody here come across John J. Sullivan as he was studying through the United States and working on the payroll of our state? Anybody aware of that as we keep pretending like there's a difference between the Mossad and the CIA?